Well, let me ask you then. So, as young, eager minds, entering the hospitality workforce, I'd love to hear what everyone's kind of initial impressions were. Were there any, surprises at your first job? I mean, how has it all kind of gone since you've either, obviously some people you're doing internships perhaps, or TAMA students, and you said you worked at the Ritz-Carlton right in St. Louis.
4 Seasons.
4 Seasons. My apologies.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I already messed up. But what are your kind of overall? I'd love to hear kind of initial impressions of the industry.
Well, the 4 Seasons was my first job in a hotel setting, and it really does come at you fast.
Yeah.
But if you're really eager and willing to participate, it's something you can really get into. And I've enjoyed my experience so far because it gave me the opportunity to really see what things are from the ground level.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to participate on that level,
Yeah.
I see nothing but possibilities for my future because I know how to operate at that level. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely seeing the capabilities of learning everything I need to know about operations before I go into future leadership.
Right. Well, it must be nice working at a 4 Seasons and not. You haven't worked in a Motel 6 yet?
No, I have not.
Could be a different experience for you.
Oh, yeah? Well, that's one of the benefits about learning at this level. You want to be able to gain and assimilate all the necessary skills to
Yeah.
participate at every
level, right?
Yes.
Sure, yeah. Anyone else initial
I think
impressions?
almost bouncing off what Tam said, just like the amount of opportunities. I think Ryan's a good example of this too. One of the things that surprised me was that the level of turnover that I've been told about is accurate. It is really high, but it's not just bad turnover, it's people getting more better opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think that's both, a challenge for operations, but for individuals that are looking to grow within the industry, I think that's great that there are always those opportunities.
Yeah, and you're moving up the ranks, which actually that's a good question. Show of hands. How many of you are still in your first hospitality job, first hospitality job still? So everyone's kind of had an initial job and then moved somewhere else. Okay, cool.
Same company, different position.
Same company, different position. Okay, but there's. I think that's the one great thing about the hospitality industry. No matter what, you can start. I mean, a lot of the CEOs, Eric Danziger, who's now the CEO of Trump Hotels, whether he likes it or not, he started as a bellman. I think Steve Joyce, was a dishwasher. So I mean, it's amazing that you can start at such a kind of. These jobs are so important to the industry, but you can start at that level and be in the C-suite. So it's amazing. Anyone else with Ryan? How about you give us your impression then?
Yeah, initial impression, I would say it was interesting, just coming from not having worked in a hotel and having this developed degree, and then going in, and I think initially you want to come out of the gates and go right into your first management role, right out of college.
Right.
That's not really the case. I think as a lot of people have found out that you don't just get into that, and I think you can get lucky and get into an MIT program, but those positions are so few and far between that it's hard. So after getting some front office experience, I think that was, for me, it was the best way to go to get that like you speak of, that foundational experience and really understand the ins and outs of the industry.
Yeah, I mean, no one started at the VP level, right? You kind of have to work your way through the ranks. Yeah, that's What So I mean, I guess those are some of the challenges. What are the big opportunities as you see it in the industry for yourselves, and as you kind of develop your career? Any insight there? What the opportunities are?
I would say the biggest opportunity is continuing your own self-development, finding employers that are willing to spend the dollars and continuing to invest within their product, and then after that, I think that they're hesitant to make those investments because, like you said, the turnover is so high, and people are so willing to take their skills to another place that they see as a better fit.
Yeah. Anyone else want to jump in?
I think just with technology playing the role that it does today, I actually really think that creates a much more level playing field than it did in the past, because you may be just, I think, a year or two out of college, or still in college even, but youth and experience with technology can sometimes give you an advantage, I've found anyway, over people who've got 20 years of experience in the industry in a way that I don't think was really possible even just a couple years ago. So that was something that I guess surprised me, was that my youth was an asset in a
Sure.
certain sense, and provided a lot of opportunity.
Well, you guys, at some point, 20 years down the line, you'll be taking their jobs anyway. They won't be around, so they need you guys to kind of backfill.
Hopefully last time.
Yes,
You know-
exactly. Less time, right? Yeah, it should be taking you guys. 5 years and you're in the C-suite. Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, so coming from the human resources side, or people operations, as they say now, I think our biggest opportunity is, in hospitality, the whole focus is personalizing the guest experience. But my guest is obviously the employee. So how do I personalize the employee experience and make that, it's no more, the blanket benefits. It's no more the blanket experience. It's very much about, you as an individual in this organization. What does your experience look like? What benefits do you need to feel satisfied and whole in the organization versus another employee? So, I've done, and Four Seasons has done a lot of research on what does the benefit package look like to employees these days. Is it tuition reimbursement? Is it childcare? Is it focusing more on, your 401k, right? Four Seasons has been around for 50 years, so we have a lot of people in a very different point in time in their life. And how do you make a robust plan that doesn't break the bank, but also, is beneficial? So for me, it's personalizing the employee experience.
Have you met Bill Gates, by the way?
No, I have not,
Okay.
but I hear he's lovely. Yeah.
That's what I heard as well. Sorry, Candace, I know you wanted to make a point earlier.
Yeah, just kind of touching off with what Ryan said, being a department head in an operations, kind of on the other side of it, you see it's a lot of people start in front office. It's the hub of most departments and where the people come from, essentially.
Mhm.
So it's really trying to find, pick and choose, like you said. Everybody has to have passion when it comes to, especially hotels. If they don't have that passion, they're not going to last, and it's just kind of, that's where that high turnover is,
Right.
negatively, but then it's at the same time, you can find those people. It's hard to find them, obviously, the ones that, really have that in there, and you just have to really harness that and
Mhm.
develop it. And for me, with my role, I know one thing that we kind of struggle with is really kind of taking that, how do you develop them, how do you mentor them,
Right.
and still not overwork them and
Mhm.
overwhelm them, because working, especially at my hotel, which is so big, we are incredibly busy all the time,
Sure.
not burning them out and really, keeping them within the company. That's where we find our biggest opportunities. It's really, how can we keep them with us?
Right. Is it true then, and you're really good, you can answer this, but you kind of hire for, personality, and you can train, like you were talking about before, to check in a guest or even clean a room, what it is, but you have to hire a certain type of attitude?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So we talk about, quote unquote, fire in the belly. So you just have to have a passion for people. At the end of the day, it can be some grueling days, but if you love people and you love service and you love what you're doing, then ultimately you'll be happy, and so that's what we look for.
Yeah.
And I think, as you were mentioning, DePaul does a great job with that because they require a lot of internships. They do a lot within the real world, which I think really prepares their students. So we see a lot of fire in the belly with DePaul
About a fire in the
students.
belly, okay.
Which is good, yeah.
Demon Deacons, right? No, sorry.
Blue
The
Demons.
Blue Demons.
Blue Demons, yeah.
I was thinking of Wake Forest.
Yeah.
My cousin just graduated
Close
there, I
enough.
apologize.
But I also think, that's an opportunity for people, young professionals in the industry. Is if you have that drive and that want, I think in this industry, which isn't similar to many others, not many other industries have this, you can succeed. If you have the drive to want to do it, executives and management really appreciate that, and they will do for you.
Reward you for that.
Yep, exactly. And you need to use that. If you don't have the drive, you're not going to succeed. But it's available to you everywhere
Yeah.
in this industry.
So I assume everyone in this room has a drive, but go ahead, Tam, go ahead.
No, it's just something that I've recently become aware of. Before I really considered hospitality as a career choice, I guess what motivated me as an individual to participate in the industry was more so just looking forward towards a reasonable source of income.
Mhm.
But now that I am more focused in it, I'm more aware of how myself and my team members interact when it comes to the guest experience and what motivates us. Obviously, there are going to be people who have great people skills,
Right.
but aren't motivated necessarily by the career, by the work they have to do, more so by the income.
Mhm.
And being in a position where I'm now seeing it as a career choice, I can see how the variation occurs and how it affects interaction within the industry. So it's just kind of interesting to bring up because when it does come towards motivating young people in the industry, you can kind of assess on that level, on that fire in the belly distinction, on that say whether it might be the financial incentive. You can kind of work with them, and it's much easier to manage them when you're able to recognize those things.
Yeah.